Okay, so I recently seen this video pop up on my YouTube feed about JackFrags and his opinion on this game of Call of Duty, and I want to watch it for the first time and kind of give my input on what I think about this game and how it's, you know, transitioned over time. So let's go and see.
Have you tried making a Minecraft server only to stop because it's taking too long? Well, our goal at Simple Game Hosting is to make Minecraft server hosting
to March 2020. You may have been one of the many people. Cast your mind back to March 2020. You may have been one of the many people playing Call of Duty Warzone. Free to play and a fresh take on the Battle Royale genre, implemented into a gritty Modern Warfare rebooted universe. Many Call of Duty fans experiencing 150 player combined arms battles with infantry and vehicles on a large map for the very first time. Intense combat and a second chance at life should you win a brutal 1v1 fight in the Gulag, or your teammates gathered enough money to buy you back at the last second while the play space shrinks around you. The loadout system allowed you to customize your own preferred arsenal, tweaking and meddling with weapon builds in the gunsmith. The guns felt varied, viable, punchy with realistic function, accurate reloads and more recoil. They sounded incredible. The game was just pure fun and offered a great space to kick back with your friends and have a laugh in a Call of Duty sandbox like never before. Skip to January 2025 and things have significantly changed for Call of Duty and Warzone. The situation is not good. The player count is falling. The last time I personally played Warzone was when they released the Area 99 map on November 14th last year. I played about 5 matches in total on that. I made one video and I logged off. All of my real life friends don't play the game anymore. The Milkman doesn't play the game anymore. My content creator friends don't play the game anymore. We don't talk about it at all. There's no desire to play right now. But why and what the hell happened here? Well, in this video, I'm going to give some feedback and try to understand and explain.
Okay, so just by listening to what he said so far, I can't help but to agree 100% on his take. Nobody wants to play this game anymore. I mean, my group of friends, we still, play obviously, but the game is so bad at this point in time that it makes it very frustrating and mentally exhausting playing this game. But I mean, Battlefield hasn't come out with a new game. As soon as Battlefield comes out with a new game, I'd transition off for sure. But this game used to be fun. Warzone 1, that's why, why this game was such a big hit. And now, the player drop, obviously.
Explain what happened. I'm going to keep it as brief as I can, and I'm going to make some assumptions. This is more how I feel. There's going to be some feels over reels here, but everything that I say is based on my experience with this game and from listening to other people's experiences and viewpoints. I realize how hard it must be to make a massive game like this, but consider this some constructive criticism from a fan. You won't agree with me on everything and that's perfectly fine. I'm going to be wrong about some things, but do let me know your thoughts below. But this is how I feel about the current situation and hopefully offers some potential solutions. I'm doing this because I used to love playing Warzone on a daily basis. Now, I don't touch the thing, and I want to see it improve. We'll be discussing some general COD stuff in here too. Now, I want to be clear that I'm also making this video from the perspective of a gamer rather than someone who makes YouTube videos for a living. Forget about that. I've played almost all of the Call of Duty games on PC in online multiplayer since the very first Call of Duty set in World War II. I was running around Karantan and Stalingrad, fragging out on a 56k modem, having a blast. Before that, it was Medal of Honor Allied Assault. I've seen it all. Things have changed a lot though for Call of Duty since then. I'm also predicting that with COD bringing back Verdansk in March or April this year, as the rumours go, they are hoping that it's going to reinvigorate the game and the players will come flooding back. However, I don't think this will be the case unless there are significant meaningful changes, as there are many fundamental issues with the current build that will overshadow any nostalgia that will quickly fade away. So 2025 Warzone, what are the problems? We're going to start with gameplay. The current iteration of Warzone as a whole is too complicated, especially for new and returning players. 2020 Warzone was simple, and I've broken this gameplay bit down into sections. First up, we're going to talk about movement. The movement in 2020 Warzone was basic. You had aim, shoot, sprint, tactical sprint, slide, and a contextual weapon mount. It was easy to understand and simple to get to grips with for new or existing COD players. 2025 Warzone integrated with Black Ops 6, and it took on the new Omni movement system. You can now sprint in any direction, dive through the air in any direction, lie on your back and shoot, dive, slide, get up pretty quick, continue shooting, crouch slide. It has many complexities.
Now, when it comes to the movement, I feel like it's a yes and no situation on about whether it improved or didn't, improve. I bet if I was to go back to Call of Duty 1 and try the movement, or not Call of Duty 1, but Warzone 1, Verdansk, and if I was to try to do the movement, I probably wouldn't like it. But I don't know. I like the more fast pace, so I really don't have too much of an issue when it comes to the movement.
Leading to unpredictable, frustrating, and confusing firefights. It's difficult to understand just from a base level, featuring many customizable options too that confuse players, especially for those returning. While it may have been a fun change of pace for multiplayer in Black Ops 6 on small maps with fast respawns, I feel like it isn't well suited to a Call of Duty Battle Royale experience. Intrinsically linked to this is a severe lack of consistency. This is a big issue. Every year a new COD game releases and they integrate that into Warzone. The result of this is that there's no through line and base understanding for the gameplay, which confuses players. Warzone 2020, basic, easy to understand, and then Cold War releases, guns get quicker, TTK gets quicker, movements faster. Next was Vanguard, Verdansk goes away, World War II setting, map design ethos changes, overpowered planes in the sky, bad visibility, and then Warzone 2, massive sweeping changes. They add an inventory system, they add AI, strongholds. It's now a mix between BR and an extraction game. Snipers are changed and the pace is slowed down excessively. Modern Warfare 3, they revert most of that and you have a weird hybrid that's been hodgepodged together, playing on an uninspired large map, Uzbekistan with no character. Black Ops 6, completely new movement system, still on the same big map, there's no ground zero for the players. And sometimes players might not necessarily like that year's flavour of COD either, yet they're forced to have it in Warzone. Many have favourites, some love the Black Ops type gameplay, some hate it, some prefer Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward for Modern Warfare. There's too much pulling and pushing, and I imagine that the dev teams are constantly bickering on what their vision of Warzone is for whatever year, yanking the game in different directions, time and time again taking one step forward and 3 steps back. Problems and bugs that were previously fixed return again and again. Think about Counter-Strike, that game released in 1999. It's inherently the same game today, one of the most played games ever on PC. PUBG is a foundation they've stuck to, still incredibly popular. Warzone, it keeps flip-flopping, there's no conviction in the game design, and this is hurting it on many levels, and the choice to integrate it into the yearly cycle of Call of Duty games is not working. Next, guns. Why is there over 160 weapons in the game? This clutch of Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 6, it cannot be balanced. It's bloated, overwhelming, intimidating. Thinking about all these guns that you have to level up now, which takes way longer than it used to, by the way. Only 5 of them get used most of the time. It just seems so unnecessary. And the gear, there's too much gear, too many options. What's this? RDB. Is that a life ring? Do I have to be in water to use that? This is a Semtex. That doesn't really look like a Semtex, but whatever. A spy camera? What? So why would I want to take a picture in a battle royale game? What kind of spots people? It's a waste of time. Never going to use that again. What's this vest on the ground here? Or is it a different one?
All right. That alone, just made me laugh because there's so much ground loot. And for an average player, like I watch tons and tons of my friends get so lost in the loot in this game that it ends up hurting us in the long run. And for an average player that only plays a few hours a day, it's more of a dopamine hit in my opinion. I honestly I don't know.
One here. Why is this board game from the 80s here? What?
I don't know what they were thinking about adding all this stuff in there. Yeah, like this prox alarm. Nobody uses that.
What does that do then? There's just too much stuff in the game. Too much stuff. Next, the game itself is not really a battle royale anymore. It plays more like TDM on a large map where there are 1,000 ways to respawn, you get your loadouts almost instantly, and the map just happens to get smaller and smaller until one person or team wins. There are way too many options to respawn. You don't feel the danger or value your life in Warzone like you used to, and that takes away a key component of the game that made it fun and interesting. Warzone 1 struck a nice balance with this, but they've taken respawns in the main battle royale mode too far in the wrong direction now. Many changes they've made, in fact, have steered the game away from its original vision. There's no downtime anymore. Respawns, redeploy beacons that can move you around vast distances of the map in a few seconds, fast ziplines everywhere connecting buildings together, horizontal and vertical. The pace is relentless and you don't have time to breathe. Those quiet moments that you had in 2020 when you were looting, moving from point A to point B, working out how much money you had together to see if you could buy a loadout yet, chatting, catching up with your mates, socializing while you play, that's all gone. That's not possible anymore. Those moments were needed. People enjoy those moments. The peaks and valleys of 2020 Warzone are what made it addictive and interesting. There was a narrative, little stories and moments that you would have and remember. Nowadays,
You know, the thing is, though, no matter what Warzone you play, I catch myself doing the same thing, is looking for the next best thing, the next update. Tired of a certain type of meta, and you know, like he was saying, we go through multiple phases of like weapons updates and stuff, so you're always on the grind on trying to level up different guns or whatever. I think and you know, it hasn't been said yet, but one of the things that I'm pretty sure he's going to mention is the fact that this is a pay to win style. You know, the people at Call of Duty, all they care about is money, and they're going to just focus more on the sales of this game than fixing their game. So I think that's one of the huge issues of playing this game. But he's pretty spot on so far, and we're 7 minutes into this, almost 8 minutes into this 33-minute video. So, but yeah, he's on it.
it's just a hyper-fast TDM with a shrinking play zone. Most players just run at each other full speed and hold down fire. The basis of a semi-authentic, realistic map that we used to have has been replaced for intense player movement and rotation. Moving on, vehicles. Useless now, no one uses them. Why would you, when you can loot a redeployed beacon and move vast distances in a few seconds? Vehicles in Warzone 2020 were fun. Big part of the gameplay loop. Driving around as a squad in a big truck, a jeep, relocating in a helicopter, or having to bail onto a roof at the last second because it just took too much damage from other players. This was exciting and it offered unique gameplay scenarios.
I do miss this portion right here of getting in a vehicle, going into a new location. There wasn't any redeployed beacons, you know. Vehicle travel was more, if you wanted a high kill game, you were required to figure out the vehicle situation. Now, the only things that are being used in the moment is the helicopter, and it's because it's constantly broken. You can crash into the side of a building and with no consequence get as many kills as you want. I mean, my low level skilled friends, that's what they do. And I think at this point, I think seeing a high number on your scoreboard is more fun than actually playing the damn game. So
that COD didn't have before. The vehicles now handle poorly, they can be destroyed easily, they might as well not be in the game, and the map designers hampered the use of vehicles too. The other side of this is that vehicles also created epic and memorable moments for infantry who were fighting against them. Go on. Oh, no way! No, Jack! No way, that is ridiculous! Hitting long-range RPG shots on helicopters and Berthas as they screamed by, being chased down on the main roads by quad bikes, cinematic Michael Bay moments, firing javelin rockets at armoured personnel carriers, setting proximity mine traps on the roads and bridges, using C4, sniping a pilot. That's all gone now, doesn't happen anymore. Yes, I recognise that some of the vehicle systems were overpowered and they could be annoying at times, for example firing a truck that can instantly accelerate to 200 miles per hour and roadkill you, but they've been nerfed to the point now where they're irrelevant, and I think that's a shame. Next topic, audio. This could have its own section, even video, but I wanted to include it in gameplay here because it is one of my biggest complaints with the game, and for me, it has a massive negative impact on my experience. I don't think Warzone has ever had good audio. You can't hear footstep sounds until they're right next to you. The footstep sounds get muted and muddied by other audio in the game.
You know, one thing I'll add real quick is the fact that, you know, JackFrags, he doesn't play this game anymore, so he may miss out on this, but you can pay to have upgraded audio within like a PC system or whatever. And I'm not talking about buying a new headset and just and having that. You know, it's a program that gives you sound EQ, and it's, if you don't have it and you don't pay for it, which is something that I don't, maybe I should, but you're at a disadvantage.
Jin does an awful job with multiple footsteps at once. There's a weird reverb effect now that's confusing. It's hard to tell if someone's above or below you. Parachutes don't make noise a lot of the time, and someone can just land on you without you hearing a thing. You put this all together, and to me, it makes me feel like I'm not connected to the game. I feel like I'm gliding around in a space and not grounded in the experience. My ears are not giving me the information and feedback that I need to understand the environment that I find myself in. And when I get killed by an entire squad who tactical sprinted up to me at full speed, and I watch the kill cam, my mouth agape with what I see, I'll tab, I watch my recording back, and all I can hear, just to check, just to make sure I'm not crazy, half a second before I die is 3 small pit-pat footsteps. That is an incredibly frustrating and disconnected experience for a player that happens all of the time. Now, audio is a very contentious issue in this game because there are 2 main schools of thinking with it that fight each other. The first school is very anti-accurate audio because people think that if you've got good audio in COD or Warzone, it will just promote camping and players won't want to move around the map at all for fear of being pre-fired or noticed too easily. The other school of thinking is pro-good audio, and that's the one that I assign myself to, because to me, I think this through. Which one would I rather have, whether I win or die? Let's think of a scenario. You're in a building, moving through to the next zone, and you have a firefight with a squad at the end of a corridor. You get bogged down, maybe you take out one of theirs, they take out one of yours, but you're still in the fight, reloading, whatever. Then all of a sudden, behind you, another 3-man squad appears that rushed up to your building and start shooting you in the back. If you had good audio there, you hear that other squad coming and you can act accordingly. You can flank, disengage, move so you're not in line of sight from a specific window, and get ready to fight another team behind you. Whatever, you might win, you might lose. With bad audio, like how it is in Warzone at the moment, that squad runs up to the building you're in, you don't hear them, they shoot you in the back and kill you. What would be more satisfying and interesting to me in that scenario? Spoiler, it's the one where I can hear the squad coming regardless of if they kill me or not, because I would have had a level of understanding from the knowledge the game gave me before the fight, and I can act on that, regardless if I act correctly, incorrectly, regardless of if I die or not. For me, the game would be way more engaging and interesting that way if it A, had accurate footstep audio, so when people are sprinting around I can understand roughly where they are, and B, gave players the option to crouch or walk almost silently, so if a player wants to be as quiet as they can be, sneak around, they still have that option, but they have to slow down a bit and think more about the engagement. A bit of risk, reward and strategy creeps in, rather than how it is at the moment, players just sprint around holding W and shift because they know how bad the footstep audio is and the chances of someone hearing them are low. To me, having better audio and more context of the situation around you is better whether you lose or win the engagement. And the audio is so bad that some PC players will spend time installing third-party software, adjusting and tweaking their EQ settings in Windows to completely distort the sound of the game just so they can raise the footstep audio slightly. Many pro players in tournaments, MP and Warzone, were using this and openly said that if they didn't, they felt like they were at a disadvantage. Some players consider this cheating too, but it shows how desperate people are for good audio. Overall, the whole audio system and way of thinking with it, the design mentality in Warzone and COD needs a huge overhaul in my opinion. So, that's my core gameplay section complete. Next, we're going to move on to aesthetics. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that a skin in a Call of Duty game is going to ruin my day, because it isn't. Skins can be fun, stupid, and they make a lot of money for the publisher. They support the game, especially if it's free to play. You know, if I see someone running around as a unicorn, a shark, Nicki Minaj, an emoji, whatever the hell these things are, I'm not going to start crying about it and quit the game. As long as it's just cosmetic and it doesn't have gameplay benefits, like the low skin did, I can live with it. I've bought stupid, goofy skins and takedowns myself. If you buy them, that's your money, your choice. However, and I do think that this is important to many people, Call of Duty used to have an identity, an aesthetic. For many gamers, especially those who are late 20s to mid to late 30s, they grew up with the original COD trilogy set in World War II, then the original Modern Warfare trilogy, up until about the first Black Ops game, I'd say. All of those games together, collectively, had a vibe to them. This is what Call of Duty looked like back then. It was the cool, gritty military game with realistic outfits and guns. Yeah, the gameplay was arcadey, and you'd have bombastic action moments in the campaigns and multiplayer, but it looked like this. It had a feeling in the visuals, the worlds, the guns, even the audio. That has completely disappeared now, gone out of the window. Call of Duty does not have an identity anymore. It's akin to Fortnite in the range of art styles and aesthetics crammed into the game. This trend started with Black Ops 2 from what I recall, and it really began to accelerate with Advanced Warfare. Player customization obtained in various ways, from supply drops, challenges, weapons could look a bit different, you had the infamous clown mask, and with the rise in financial success of in-game microtransactions, live service, etc., the player skins and weapon skins are more outlandish than ever before. So when lapsed or even existing non-regular Call of Duty players come back to try the game, try the new Warzone, maybe they come back for Verdansk and they see this kind of thing, these colourful fantasy skins in a franchise that used to be grounded and authentic when they played it, that could potentially turn them off. It isn't the game, the franchise they remember anymore, and they start to feel like maybe what they used to know and love isn't for them now. They don't play it again. And you know what? That's okay, people move on, but I suppose it depends on how much of an impact the lack of realistic aesthetic and identity is actually hurting the game. I don't have the data for that, of course, but I feel like it should be a consideration, as I've seen many people discuss this. It isn't some niche topic, and there's a huge audience of FPS multiplayer gamers who want to play in realistic, authentic worlds where they can play a role and sink into a fantasy. COD is missing out on that now. It's something to think about, and perhaps the solution to this that would please both parties is to have a simple toggle switch in the options that says only show me default and authentic skins. Next, oh boy, cheats. I cannot believe that after 5 years after all of the calls, the feedback sessions, the Reddit posts, the tweets, the blogs, the videos, the clips, the lawsuits, Warzone and Call of Duty still has a gigantic problem with cheaters. It's as worse as it's ever been, and the community does not trust that anything can be done to ameliorate the cheating situation. It's out of control. Legit players are getting shadow banned more often than ever now too. People don't trust each other and question every kill cam. The cheating situation is so bad that some people actually believe Activision developed cheats themselves and then sell them to cheat websites who sell them to players. It's absolutely wild. I realise that this is not an easy job for the developers. It's an ongoing battle, and it can never be won by either side, especially when there's money involved. But it's quite clear that Call of Duty is losing, and it does not have control of this at all. And it's hard to know where to start discussing this too, because there's so many factors at play, but this really started to become a widespread problem when Modern Warfare 19 introduced crossplay with PC and console, and Warzone released as free-to-play, exposing that huge console audience to things that they'd never seen before. Rage hacking, aimbots, wall hacks, flying cars, DDoS attacks. It showed all of this stuff to a massive group that hadn't seen it before, and they started talking about it. And I'm going to keep this short because it's been discussed ad infinitum, but here's some things they could do that I feel would actually make a meaningful impact. Some of this stuff wouldn't be easy, it would be a difficult decision, but I think it would help. And bear in mind that I play on PC too, so I would suffer from some of this. Step 1. Give console players the option for console-only crossplay. So PC players can only play with console players if...
Yeah, but even console players are able to cheat, so it's like, where do you draw the line, you know, on what's acceptable and what's not? I mean, yeah, it has been 5 years, and I think one of the biggest thing is streamers in general have made it more of a funnier thing, you know, like in the beginning when people started flying around in maps and cars and just aimbotting, walling and stuff. They make whole content videos in spectating these people and I mean, I hate to really throw Nick Merckx out like this, but like him and his squad with Tim the Tapman, what they have, is people that are in their communities that will drop loot for them and stuff like that throughout the game, and they praise them, all that or whatever. Well, it gives other, players some type of dopamine hit when you're exposing that, and then praising it. I don't know. That's my 2 cents on that.
If the console player allows that in their matchmaking filters, or if they're in a party together. Yes, for legit PC players, this would have a big negative impact on matchmaking times, but sometimes a wolf has got to chew off its own leg to survive. This could be a good fix in the interim while they look at bolstering other forms of protection. Step 2. Roll out a mandatory, always-on, secure boot anti-cheat for PC. Go down the same route as Valorant. Talk to Riot Games, get it done. Initially, people will complain en masse. If they want to play on PC, they've got to install it. No one trusts COD right now. This would be difficult, but in the long term, the benefits of having a clean game and a clean reputation would far outweigh the initial outrage and backlash. Step 3. In 2024, Microsoft bought Activision for $68.7 billion. Call of Duty is now owned by Microsoft. What do Microsoft make? They make Windows. You play Call of Duty on PC with Windows. They're probably doing this already, but work more with the Windows team. Work with Microsoft, come up with a better solution for fighting cheaters on PC, because what you got right now isn't enough and it's ineffective. And step 4, implement if it's not there already. I guess it was, and if it is, rely way more on real-time, in-game statistical analysis of players. From a data standpoint, obvious cheaters and rage hackers do things that human beings cannot. If that kind of obviously inhuman behaviour is detected in a match, just ban it straight away. Moving on, skill-based matchmaking, engagement-based matchmaking, whatever you want to call it, however you define it, however they define it. If you're watching this video, you know roughly what it is. In this section, I'm not going to discuss if I think it's a good or bad thing overall. I'm just going to tell you how I feel when I play this game. This feeling started with Modern Warfare 2019. When I play quick play in Call of Duty now, be that multiplayer or Warzone, I feel like I'm being manipulated. I feel a severe lack of gameplay variety. I feel like I play with and against the same players over and over. I feel like my ping is higher on average. I feel like I wait longer for matches than ever before, and I feel like I can't play with my friends. In 2024, Call of Duty released a couple of blogs and white papers explaining how their matchmaking system works. In total, 44 pages of information. 44 pages! There's graphs and data. It's available for free for everyone to see and read. I think it's a fascinating piece and I really appreciate the communication from them. However, on the first page, it states the following. As the community will attest, ping is king. Connection is the most critical and heavily weighted factor in the matchmaking process. I'm sorry to say, this does not line up with my experience of the game at all. It's like pointing at an orange and telling me over and over again that it's a banana. How can ping be king when there's a 44-page document explaining how the matchmaking works and all of these other factors are a big consideration? When I saw this for the first time, I found it quite funny, and in my head I'm doing this. So imagine a player clicks play to start matchmaking, and behind the scenes we see the matchmaking algorithm man trying to find a game for them. Okay, first thing, connection. Where are they based? North America, East Coast. Cool. So, here's some nearby servers. And look, 50,000 people currently searching for a game in North America. Brilliant. And then we need to think about how long they've been waiting for. Let's check. Okay, so only a few seconds so far. No worries. Okay, great. I found a super low ping server that they can play in here. 5 millisecond connection. Amazing. The game is just about to start. Whoa. Wait. No. We can't put them in there because their kill death ratio is too low for that lobby. I just lost a load of good servers there. Hang on a second. What platform are they on? Xbox? Okay, so maybe we can put them with more Xbox players in this lobby. Wait, no, we can't. Average score per minute, slightly higher compared to the other players in there, so that would weigh the lobby too far in one team's favor and would be less likely to be a close match. It's going to be 90% chance instead of 95% chance. Unacceptable. How long have they waited now? Oh god, it's getting long. So what about this lobby? They don't have voice chat turned on. Can't put them in there. God, the selection of players is really getting a lot smaller now. What about the... No, not in there. So... Oh, they're playing on controller. Good. How about this lobby with PlayStation players also using controller? Bit of crossplay. Good. Nah, come on, don't be silly. They just played on this map before. Can't put them in there. Sorry. I'm really not sure about this. I mean, they could go in this low ping lobby that I found, but nah. Playlist diversity and their KD is too high for that lobby, so there's no way. Oh, hang on. This one looks good so far. Check. Check, I found a good one here. It's the perfect match. Everything lines up. Skill, platform, voice chat, input and maps, playlist diversity, 0.99 chance of a close game. The numbers make sense, but I've ruled out so many other servers now. This lobby's going to be 60 ping for that player. Ah, screw it. You know what? Throw them in there. They've waited too long. Who cares if they have a worse experience because of the ping? Go complain on Reddit, loser. See you in the next match. That's Call of Duty matchmaking. That's how it feels to me. That is not ping is king. If ping was king, a player would click play. It would find any group of players searching to fill a lobby in a server close to them, put them in a group together and start the match as quick as possible. That's actually what ping is king would be, and that's not how the current system is at all. So you should know, if you're playing COD today, based on the information in the document they provided, in any mode that you play, you have a hidden rating, profile and analytics on you that are being used to put you in a lobby that it deems acceptable. Skill and engagement are big factors. You're filling a hole, and no matter what level you're at, you can't see your own or other skill rating in the game. It will always try to match you with players of similar skill. If you think that's a good or bad thing, that's up to you. It limits the amount of people you play with, it has a negative impact on your connection experience and ping in the game, and it extends the time waited searching for a game. If they continue with this system in Warzone and multiplayer, it's only going to get more accurate over time, by the way. It would be great to let players in-game see their own rating and other players' rating for each lobby. I think that would go a long way. Related to this, thanks to some community members and notably the efforts of content creator Exclusive Ace, they discovered the only way to see some small reference for your behind the scenes skill rating is by submitting a data and information privacy request on the Activision website. It takes a few days to receive this, but it does show you your perceived skill value. There's not much context to it though, and no visibility of the players that you were playing with and against, but what it does reveal is a heavily reactive system that's constantly updating. I'd recommend watching Exclusive Ace's videos on this if you're interested to learn more. Wrapping this bit up, the discussion around matchmaking in COD games has become overwhelmingly toxic now. It's created more distrust in the community, and there are conspiracy theories such as skill-based damage and easier matchmaking if you buy bundles from the store. Players also figure out ways constantly to subvert these systems through various methods. I don't know what the answer is here, but for this section, I'll leave you with this. The notion of an old school, casual and unfiltered multiplayer experience has gone. Every match, regardless of your skill, is essentially a ranked match with no rank progression and no context of how and why you performed the way you did. You should know that you're always playing ranked, but it's just not called that. I feel like Call of Duty has forgotten that it's a toy to be played with, and their matchmaking system is designed to manipulate you and keep you playing for longer. Next, bugs. Honestly, there's been so many bugs with Warzone that there's no point documenting them all. Every game has them, it just seems that Warzone has way more than average and they take longer to fix. There's been a notable pattern too that when there are problems with the store, they're often fixed sooner in a much quicker fashion. That might just be because a store problem is generally easier to fix than a gameplay problem though, but it's happened enough times now that it sends the wrong message and it creates a narrative within the community. Moving on, server performance. Yeah, it's not great, is it? Combined with the complex matchmaking system, you can get into some pretty rough servers with packet loss and high pings. Servers crash too, and they can be crashed by hackers now. And while there's no official data, third-party testers have surmised that the game runs at between 15 to 20 tick rate. I'm no game developer and I'm very ignorant to this, but my understanding of it is that the higher the tick rate, the more real up-to-date version each player has of the game. In layman's terms, it's how fast everything in a lobby updates. The faster the better. Some games like Valorant have a 128 tick rate, so the response is very fast and hit registration, taking damage, etc. more often than not feels accurate. Obviously, Warzone has a much higher player count than Valorant of 100 to 150 players, so there may be technical problems with increasing the tick rate. I assume it would also cost more money for Activision to run higher tick rate servers, but as I mentioned before, they are owned by Microsoft now, so perhaps they can sort out some kind of deal, you know? I don't even know if it would help with Warzone, but in my simple brain, it makes sense. It would be a nice olive branch for the community to spend a bit more time and money on server performance. Other large player count games in the past, like Battlefield 4 for example, with 64 players, did have high tick rate servers up to 120 Hz if you wanted. That felt super snappy, good to play on, and 60 Hz then became the standard going forward, so I feel like it should be possible for Warzone too. And higher tick rate servers should definitely be there already in multiplayer for smaller gamers like S&D hardpoint domination. I'm sure those upgrades would make a massive positive impact on rank play, and of course competitive, the Pro League. I think it's important that we talk about trust as well. Call of Duty has been having a very hard time with this over the last 2 years or so, I would say, and it would appear on the surface that trust within the fan base and vocal community is at an all-time low. On almost every social media post or YouTube video, there is a slew of negative comments and sentiment. sometimes even community notes. It mainly revolves around fixing the game, the cheating situation, and focusing on selling bundles and event passes instead of addressing problems with the game. The recent Squid Game event is an example of that. It gives the impression that their priorities are not in the right place. I also mentioned the thing about store errors too in the bug section that are promptly fixed. Other bad examples that soured trust are like during Warzone 2 when DMZ was being updated still. They sold store bundles that gave you pretty big gameplay advantages, like always spawning in at the start of a round with a UAV. It all makes people wonder what else could be going on behind the scenes. Generally, speaking about microtransactions too, Call of Duty feels like it crams so much of that down your throat nowadays that you get sick of the taste. The battle passes, the store, black sell, events, skins, collabs, paid for passes in your face as soon as you boot up the game. It's way too focused on the business and engagement side of things, and I think it's really starting to have a negative impact on the gameplay and player base now. Trust is important, and the only way out of this is to start actually delivering good updates and fixes. Shift the focus to the gameplay. More transparent communication would be nice too, but ultimately, I feel like they should stop saying they're going to do things and instead just start doing the things and let the improvements do the talking. Wrapping things up, because I don't want this video to go on too long, it probably already is, but I feel like many of these issues that I have could be rectified if they were to separate Warzone from the main Call of Duty titles so they weren't shackled and bound by that anymore. Make it a separate game with its own dedicated dev team, engine, weapon values, cycles, vision, etc. They need a fresh start and to go back to the drawing board, really diving into what made 2020 Warzone so good in the first place. It has started to become tiresome every year when there's a new COD game to learn, unlock and grind all these new weapons for Warzone, and every time they do a new integration, it shakes up the gameplay too much in my opinion. The art style changes, the vibe changes, the gameplay changes, turning players away from what they knew and throwing too many curveballs at them. PUBG, as I mentioned at the start of the video, it's the only battle royale game right now that I still play somewhat regularly. As of making this video on a Sunday in January, PUBG has 507,000 players on PC Steam right now, with a 24-hour peak of 758,000. That's impressive. In the 7+ years that the game has been out, it hasn't massively deviated from its original vision at launch either. It is still a battle royale, they added more big maps over time, they didn't try and shake up the game mechanics every year or make drastic sweeping changes. The movement is exactly the same as day one, apart from some good quality of life changes which were added, such as vaulting and hoisting. I enjoy kicking back on the game, playing with friends from time to time. And I don't engage with the battle pass or cosmetics either. I don't care about the progression. I just play the game and enjoy it for what it is, a game. Warzone needs to break away, in my opinion. It needs to draw a clean line in the sand where they can build from scratch again and define what it is and what it wants to be. As a player, I'm looking for that level of consistency. A clean break would also be a great opportunity for the COD team to tell players that from this point in time, any purchases they make are staying with them in Warzone so they feel that they can invest and commit to the game in the long term. In Fortnite, for example, that isn't even a question. You know that whatever's on your account stays on your account and it will be accessible to you. On Steam, when Black Ops 6 released, the daily concurrent player count of the COD launcher was 306,000. Remember that encompasses multiple COD games too. As of today, that number is currently sitting at 50,000 concurrent players. Remember, these games are available on Game Pass, Battle.net and consoles too, so the actual overall player number is much higher than this, but what the Steam charts show us is a trend. If COD is losing this many daily players on Steam, it's probably losing a proportionate amount on the other platforms too. This time it definitely feels a bit different to me.
Building your online business?
Man, he is hitting a lot of these things.
Go to Wix.com and set up your store on a single...
When Warzone released, it was a nice white t-shirt. You wore it every day, you washed it.
I didn't even think about and hasn't even registered in my head, you know. But I can't help but to believe that Call of Duty is on the decline, and I've been playing Call of Duty since I was a teenager, and here we are. You know, I'm 35 now, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. But I have nothing else to play. I remember Call of Duty getting so bad that I ended up going to, you know, they were coming out with more futuristic games that, kind of reminded me of like Halo. And Halo was a good game of its time, and some people would say that Halo is still a really good game. But I don't know, personally, I kind of went away with that because I wanted more realistic, you know, and realism and actual modern warfare, you know, the thing that like our country has been in constantly throughout time, you know. I just wanted to stay in that mindset, especially coming from a military background. I don't know. I just they they created these futuristic flying, you know, avatars or whatever, and I just was like, you know what, I'm going away from it. So I went to Battlefield for a while, and that was fun. And then when I heard about the release of Warzone 1, I immediately switched over. And so I played Warzone 1, um, felt great. Definitely had my own complaints, you know. Um, but looking at it from this perspective, you know, and how the gameplay is now, I would 100% go back. And a lot of people that, you know, I play with and I talk to and stuff like that all feel the same way. So, I mean, he's hitting everything, you know. And I hope that Call of Duty looks at this and takes notes, which they won't. They just all they care about is money. So
It came back looking like new, smelling great. Each time there was a new season, a big map update to Verdansk, a new point of interest, you felt the excitement. The Halloween event was incredible. Then you got killed by a cheater for the 10th time. That left a stain. And then the server lagged out again. That left a stain. And then you got squad wiped in the final circle by someone glitching under the map. New stain. And then you were told that the cosmetics you paid for didn't carry across to the next version of the game. Big stain. You couldn't use your kill streak. Stain. You try and wash it and you can't get those stains out, but you keep playing, trying it again. And then you get killed by someone who made no footstep sounds running on the floorboards right next to you. New stain. Then a flying hacker car wipes you out. Stain. They take your favorite game mode away. New stain. Your game crashes with a dev error. Stain. You take the t-shirt off, you throw it in the washer, one more spin, comes out, no difference. It doesn't change. There's too many stains on it, they've left too many marks. And you know what? You're not going to wear that t-shirt anymore. Warzone needs a new t-shirt. This game was a massive deal for Call of Duty. Free to play, exciting and fresh. I spent hours having fun on the game with friends, but I don't play it much at all anymore. I find that kind of sad considering how good it used to be, and I hope that we can come back to that in the future. Yes, I know, Warzone 2020, it wasn't perfect. There were some big issues with balance, dead silence, stopping power, etc. But goddamn, it was fun as hell. Simple, easy to understand, easy to pick up, and an amazing sandbox to play in. Perhaps we'll never get back to that, and perhaps that's okay, but I think that the foundation that they had there should have been nurtured and improved upon instead of being broken down time and time again. Luckily, we're sport for choice and there are plenty of other amazing games to choose from right now. I wish the developers luck going forward and I'll be keeping a close eye on updates. Thanks for watching, do let me know your thoughts below and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.
what a great video. My last and final thoughts is on this game is I'm just kind of at this point waiting for the community talk. You know, what's going to be released. They've been talking about Warzone 1 coming back for over a year. I really am waiting for that. I'm looking forward to that. But as of right now, I mean, the season 2 just dropped and I've been struggling just even playing it. You know, they did a few map drops or whatever, and it's the same. You know, I just don't feel it's not just the fun feeling of playing this damn game. So, anyways, that's it for this stream. JackFrags, throw out to you, man. Good video and